Welcome to Have You Read It? The channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're diving into Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. This book explores the fascinating world of rapid cognition, those snap judgments and first impressions that shape our decisions, often without us even realizing it. Gladwell kicks off with a captivating story about the Getty Museum's acquisition of a kouros, an ancient Greek statue. Despite extensive scientific analysis confirming its authenticity, experienced art historians instantly sensed something was off. Their intuitive repulsion, as one expert put it, proved correct. The statue was a forgery. This anecdote perfectly sets the stage for the book's core theme: the power of our unconscious mind to process information and make accurate judgments in the blink of an eye. Blink introduces us to the concept of thin slicing, the ability of our unconscious to find patterns in situations and behavior based on very narrow slices of experience. Just like those art experts with the kouros, we thin slice all the time, from assessing a potential romantic partner to sizing up a job candidate. Gladwell emphasizes that thin slicing isn't some mystical gift. It's a fundamental part of being human. He draws parallels to various fields where this ability is crucial, from basketball players with court sense to military generals with coup d'oeil, even to bird watchers who instinctively recognize a bird's giss, its essence. To illustrate the power of thin slicing, Gladwell highlights the research of psychologist John Gottman, who can predict the success or failure of a marriage with remarkable accuracy after observing a couple for just a few minutes. Gottman's work reveals that marriages have distinctive patterns, like a marital DNA, that surface in any meaningful interaction. He identifies 4 horsemen of negativity: defensiveness, stonewalling, criticism, and most importantly, contempt, that signal a relationship in trouble. Another fascinating study discussed is Samuel Gosling's dorm room experiment. Strangers were able to accurately assess certain personality traits of students simply by looking at their dorm rooms. This demonstrates the richness of information embedded in our personal spaces and how it can reveal more about us than we might consciously express. The book further explores thin slicing in the medical field, demonstrating how a doctor's tone of voice can predict their likelihood of being sued for malpractice. Warm, respectful tones correlate with lower lawsuit rates, regardless of medical skill. This emphasizes the importance of how we interact with others and how our unconscious communication can have profound effects. While Blink celebrates the power of intuition, it also acknowledges its fallibility, the Warren Harding error. People were so captivated by Harding's handsome appearance that they overlooked his lack of qualifications, electing him president, one of the worst in American history. This underscores how our snap judgments can be influenced by superficial factors, leading to flawed decisions. Gladwell introduces the implicit association test, a tool that reveals our unconscious biases. Even people who consciously believe in equality often show implicit biases in favor of certain groups. This highlights the disconnect that can exist between our stated values and our automatic associations, and how those unconscious biases can influence our actions. Specifically, the book details how the test reveals that a majority of test takers, including many African Americans, exhibit implicit pro-white associations, owing to the constant barrage of cultural messages linking whiteness with positive attributes. Building on this, Gladwell explains how tall men are disproportionately represented among Fortune 500 CEOs, suggesting that height plays an unconscious role in leadership selection. These examples emphasize how implicit biases affect crucial decisions, from hiring to elections. Gladwell challenges the notion that more information always leads to better decisions. He cites Lee Goldman's algorithm for diagnosing chest pain, which outperforms experienced doctors by focusing on a few key factors and ignoring irrelevant information. This less is more approach highlights the efficiency and accuracy of thin slicing when done correctly. Another key theme is the importance of creating the right conditions for spontaneity. Gladwell draws parallels to improv comedy, where performers make quick decisions within a framework of rules. He argues that good decision-making under pressure requires training, rules, and rehearsal, as seen in Paul Van Riper's success in a military war game. Van Riper, assigned the role of a rogue commander, won the first round of the game by relying on intuitive, decentralized decision-making, while his opponent, Blue Team, was bogged down by an overabundance of information and rigid procedures. However, when the game was reset and Van Riper's unconventional tactics were disallowed, the more conventional Blue Team easily prevailed, demonstrating the limitations of rigid, information-dependent approaches in unpredictable situations. The book also addresses how introspection can sometimes hinder our understanding of our own preferences. Experiments show that asking people to explain their choices can lead to them overthinking and changing their minds, especially with subjective matters like taste. This storytelling problem highlights the difficulty of articulating the reasons behind our intuitive judgments. The book uses examples like the success of the Aeron chair, which was initially deemed ugly by focus groups but went on to become a bestseller, and the television shows All in the Family and The Mary Tyler Moore Show, which scored poorly in market research but became huge hits. These examples highlight how unfamiliar or unconventional ideas may be initially rejected based on superficial first impressions, but ultimately gain acceptance over time. Gladwell suggests that expertise can enhance our ability to thin slice. Experienced food tasters, for instance, can articulate the subtle differences between similar products, while novices struggle. This gift of expertise comes from developing a nuanced vocabulary and understanding of the subject matter, enabling experts to unpack their unconscious reactions. The book culminates with the tragic story of Amadou Diallo, a young immigrant shot and killed by police officers in New York City. Gladwell argues that the officers' mind-reading abilities failed them due to a combination of factors: stereotyping, the high-stress situation, and the lack of time to process information accurately. Diallo's fear and innocence were misread as aggression, resulting in the fatal shooting. The Diallo story leads to the final lesson of blink. Mind reading, like other aspects of thin slicing, can be improved with practice. Experts like Paul Ekman train law enforcement officers to recognize micro-expressions, fleeting involuntary facial expressions that reveal true emotions. Learning to control and interpret these unconscious cues can have profound implications for everything from personal relationships to life or death situations. This training emphasizes the potential for improving our capacity for making accurate judgments in the blink of an eye. Through these diverse examples, Gladwell makes a compelling case for taking our first impressions and snap judgments seriously. He shows how these rapid, unconscious processes can be incredibly insightful, but also prone to error. By understanding the mechanisms of thin slicing and the factors that influence it, we can harness the power of blink for good, making better decisions, fostering deeper connections, and preventing tragic mistakes. Gladwell underscores how seemingly minor details, like a surgeon's tone of voice or the presence of contempt in a marital conversation, can be incredibly revealing indicators of broader trends and outcomes. This is reinforced by examples like Bob Golomb, a car salesman, whose refusal to judge customers based on appearance allowed him to make more sales, and the Cook County Hospital study, where an algorithm focusing on limited critical factors improved chest pain diagnoses. The main takeaway from Blink is that our snap judgments are incredibly powerful, but not infallible. We need to learn to trust our instincts, but also be aware of the factors that can distort them. Thin slice mindfully. Pay attention to your gut feelings, but seek context and corroboration. Beware of Warren Harding. Errors. Don't let superficial characteristics overshadow deeper qualities. Fight implicit bias. Be aware of your unconscious associations and actively work to counter them. Less is often more. Don't get overwhelmed by irrelevant information. Focus on the essential. Create structure for spontaneity. Train and rehearse for high-pressure situations. Listen with your eyes. Pay attention to nonverbal cues, especially micro-expressions. Control the environment, reduce stress, and allow time for unconscious processing to occur. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.